Hi, this is Sean Worthington, lead scientist at CloudCoin. This video is going to show you how you can accept CloudCoins as payment on your website programmatically. Let's start by taking a look at the big picture, and then we'll get into some finer details and then some really fine details. The major components of the system are your web server, your customer, and the Skywallet that runs on the RADA. Here's the sequence of events. Your customer will request a page from your website, and they will be able to decide what they want to purchase. And when they're done, they will click on Pay with CloudCoin, and then that will allow them to send the command to their Skywallet to send or transfer money from their account to your account. Then the web page will call an action page on your web server to tell it that the payment has been made. Then your web server goes up and checks its wallet and verifies that the payment was in fact received and that it was for the right amount. And then lastly, if everything's good, your web server is going to provide your customer with the goods or services that it is due. And in the case of an exchange, well, your customer's account will be then credited for sending those CloudCoins. Now we're ready to go deeper and take a look at the software components that are involved. We've got three of them. One is what we call Pos.js, the point of sale JavaScript, and that is going to run on your HTML page that the client downloads. It's written in JavaScript, of course. And then we have the action page. This is a page like a PHP page or a server-side page that accepts a GET request. And then we have the Ready-to-Go program that is able to check to see if your CloudCoins have been received in your account. So we'll start by looking at this Pos Js, and we'll get into depth, but basically this just puts a button. When you push the button, the modal shows up. This allows them to enter in their payment information, and when they hit with Pay With, that's going to command their Skywallet to transfer money from their account to your account, and then it's going to then call on a form to send data to your action page. This is going to create a Geo Id, which is going to be used as a memo when they transfer from their Skywallet to your Skywallet. And you're going to be able to go and check that memo to see if you received a payment with that same memo. This is also going to allow us to track the payment. We have a simple function that we call to put that number in there. And then we have the action page, which is going to be written in any kind of language you want to, Ruby, Node.js, Java, PHP. But the main thing it does is it calls an executable. And so this is a command line argument. The top one is for Linux. This is a command line argument for Windows. We see we've got a rada_go.exe. And we have a command view receipt, and we have the receipt's ID here. And then we have which Skywallet we want to look at. And of course you want to look at your Skywallet. So when this is called, you're going to send those calls to the Ready-to-Go. And when this is called, it's going to then return some JSON. Let's talk about the Skywallet. So the Skywallet is a bank that has been built on the RADA so that it has data supremacy. In fact, the Skywallet is the first application besides CloudCoin to be built on the RADA. The Skywallet functions just like a blockchain, except it's much faster. It can handle many more transactions per second. There's no fees, and the addressing is also much more friendlier and customizable. It's also not open to the public, so it's more private. And unlike the blockchain, you can take your CloudCoins out of it and put them on your hard drive or put them in anywhere that you want to. In order to use our merchant system, you and your customers will need to have a Skywallet account. You so you can receive, and they so they can send. There's two different ways to create a Skywallet account, and one way is to go to skywallet.cc, and here on the bottom it says don't have a Skywallet card. Click here. By the way, this is our Skywallet ATM that allows you to get into your Skywallet, and it allows you to upload and download and transfer, do some other things. So I don't have a Skywallet, so I'm going to go ahead and click on that. and that takes me to this page where I can create a Skywallet. And the first thing it asks is if I want what was my desired Skywallet. And notice that this is a DNS name. Anything that I create here is going to be on the skywallet.cc domain. And so I could be sean4.skywallet.cc. However, after you create this, you can customize it so that it's on your own domain if you have control over a DNS server. And then we're going to choose the PIN number, and we're going to understand that if you lose your Skywallet card or number or PIN number, that your account cannot be recovered for 5 years, and that you understand that it costs 1 coin to create this Skywallet, and your coin will be spent to create this Skywallet. Actually, you can get the coin back, so you're just using this coin as like a key. And now I'm going to drop the coin that I have here. So here I've got some coins. You prefer to use one. Doesn't matter what note you use, but you gotta use one note. I'm just gonna use a 1 because it's cheaper. And now I can just hit submit if I can find something. Okay, there it is. Create Skywallet. Oh, you know what? I forgot to check this thing. Okay. So now I'm going to create Skywallet. It's going to go out and check to see if my name has already been chosen. If it hasn't, then it's going to check to see if the coin is real. Okay, so here it created a debit card for me, and I can just right-click this debit card and save it. So this is the information that I can use to get into my card and get out of it. And I can also see that it has an IP address, 120.6.244, and this is very handy if we're going to customize it. So this is one way to create your Skywallet account. There's a few things I'd like to mention about this PNG image, and that is you want to click download. You don't want to right-click it and save the image. Instead, you want to click download. When you click that download, it's going to create this file called, well, it's the name of yourself. So here I got sean4.skywallet.cc.png, and this has something inside of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show this in folder. So let me see, I've got it here in this folder here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to open up a program that allows me to actually see the binary that's inside a file. So I've got this thing called HXD, and I'll go ahead and open up this PNG file that I just downloaded. And so you can see a lot of binary here, but what you might not be able to see or not be able to tell what you see is here it says CloudCoin, and here's the serial number right here, and here's the authenticity numbers. There's 25 of them. So all of this stuff has been embedded in this PNG, and what that means is that we can turn around and use this. We can drag it onto our ATM machine. So let's talk about how to customize our Skywallet account. So here I've got my Skywallet, and let's suppose that you have your own DNS server. So a very popular DNS server is to use Cloudflare. So here I've got a number of different domains. Let's say that I wanted to be sean.ratatech.com, so when people sent me money, they would know that they were sending it to my domain because only I have control of my DNS service or server. So that gives us more trust. So I would just go in here into the DNS, and I'm going to add a DNS record. In order to do this, I've got to look at what my IP number is here. I just put in my name here and my IP address, and save. Okay. It's got to be DNS only. Now that we have a Skywallet, we're also going to want to put it in our local CloudCoin wallet. That way we can download any coins that we want so that we don't necessarily have all of our coins up on the Skywall. We want to diversify the locations of our cloud coins. That will reduce our risk of theft. And so we might download some to one computer, download some to another computer. Maybe we download it to our computers and put it on a USB drive. Maybe we download it to our computers and put it on an email address or email account. So how do we do that? Well, first you're going to want to download the CloudCoin wallet. And once you start it up, you can go to, we want to look for what's called the ID folder. And to find that, if you go to a wallet and go to its tools, you will see the show folders command, and that shows you all the different folders. Unfortunately, we don't have a command that shows you the ID folder, but if you click on any one of these folders, then what you can do is you can go back to the CloudCoin wallet folder. So I'm going back to the name of my wallet, and then accounts, and then CloudCoin wallet. Then I can see this ID folder. So this is the place where I want to put my Skywallet. You'll notice that right now I have my local wallet, Sean Bank, and I have no other wallets. But if I take this Skywallet and drop it in there, so here I'm dropping it in there. Now it's there, and it won't show up automatically. But if I, maybe it will, I don't know. No. I'm going to have to restart it, so I'll go ahead and close that. Restart it. And now it's just counting the coins. It shows that I don't have any coins, which I don't. But now, just by dropping that coin into the ID folder, now that is part of my choices that I can do. I can upload, download, and so on. Now, if I didn't want to use the skywallet.cc website to create my Skywallet, I could just create it here. So if I hit here, I can choose the domain name. Unfortunately, there's only one choice right now, but I'm going to do Sean5. And again, I will choose a coin to use. Okay, let's see if we can find this. Okay, then I'll put in a PIN number. Continue. So now it's going out and it's going to register this coin with the RADA. And see what happens. All right, well, I just did that, and it took actually, this is a new feature that we just added, and it actually took about 60 seconds. So that's a long time. It might take you 60 seconds as well, but hopefully we'll be able to get it to go faster. But now I can see that I've got Sean 4 and I've got Sean 5 in my Skywallets that I can control. I can transfer money from them back and forth, can upload money, and so on. Now we're going to take a look at the software components, starting with the Pos Js. But before I do that, we have to get some coins into our test accounts. And so here I've got sean4.skywallet.cc. That's going to be sending the money. And then I've got sean5.skywallet.cc. That is going to be receiving it. Right now they're empty. So to get money into these accounts, I want to go to my Sean4 and upload, but we don't have that ability with the Skywallet. We have it with the ATM that's online. So to get coins into this Sean4 Skywallet, I've got to first put them in my local wallet, Sean Bank. So I'll go ahead and click deposit there. I've got some coins over here, and I'll just move them. First coins. Okay, so this is now taking ownership of the coins, and if there's any frac coins, it's going ahead and fixing those. And now it says that I've got 45 authentic coins here. Now I can go to here, transfer within wallet, should we say wallets, and I'm going to choose to send it to Sean.4, and I'll go ahead and send all of those coins. And so now I can see that Sean.4 Skywallet has 45 coins. That's 9.5 notes. Now I've got some coins that I can spend on things, and that's good. We can start testing the system. Now we're going to take a look at how the POS system works, and then we'll get into the details of the code. Here I've got XAMPP running on my local computer. That's a web server, and so it allows me to execute HTML pages off of my computer. So I've got a very simple demonstration here, and basically it says buy widgets for 1 CloudCoin each. How many widgets do you want to buy? And then you have the option of entering in a coupon code. And so I'll go ahead and buy 5 widgets, and I'll enter in a coupon code. Press the Pay With button. That's going to cause the Modal to pop up. And then I'm going to start adding my credit card information. This information comes from my PNG image. PIN number. Okay, so now it's going up to the Skywallet system, and it's telling it to transfer money. Once it's transferred, it then sends me to the action page. So I have a page called action.php, and it's including all of these get parameters. Here I've got amount equals 5, coupon equals 344, blah, blah, blah. It's got the Geo Id of the transaction. Now let's take a look at the HTML code that goes into making this. And we've got a regular HTML page with a head and with a body. And let's take a look at this body first. In the body we have a label that says buy widgets 1 CloudCoin each. And then we have a label and an input. Input is ID widgets, and it's a number type, and we can put in how many widgets we want to purchase. And then we have another label for another input. This input is called ID coupon, and it's a text type that they can enter a coupon in. This represents the merchant type data that might want to be collected. We have a div called Skywallet Modal, and we also have an image. And the image is located on cloudcoin.global assets, but you could put this image on your page and you could change it. And in fact, we have a more advanced image that has a mouse over that changes the way it looks. But when we click this image, it's going to call a function called openModal, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit. All right, so this hopefully should be very simple. The real meat of this is just one line of code, and that's the image. So you've got to have this image line of code on your web page. Of course, you can have another thing that when you click it, it opens the openModal. So that's really the key. Okay, then we get into the head, and in the head we've got a script file. This script file is going to go and download a script from our web page, from cloudcoin.global assets, posjs.min.js, and of course you could download it on your own computer. If you leave it on ours, when we do updates, it will update it, hopefully not in a way that hurts your website, but in a way that adds functionality, maybe changes the pictures of how it looks. And then we have the other script, which is called a Skywallet Modal script. And in this script, we have the part that's going to run automatically when the page loads. So when the page loads, it's going to construct a Pos Js object. And to construct that, it needs to know 3 things, and you're going to have to configure this. You're going to have to configure the timeout. This one's configured to 20 seconds. And here's the issue with the timeout. If it's short, then it'll start cutting off rate of servers. So you'll make 25 requests to transfer. They'll start responding. And if you hit the timeout, if they haven't responded yet, then those servers will be ignored. And that's okay, because you only need 20 servers usually to be successful. But if the person has low bandwidth speed and it's times out too quick, maybe you'll only get 5 that actually pass, and that's bad. So we want to have a time that is not too fast, too slow. What we find is generally we can do it as fast as 2 seconds. We find about 5 seconds is safe, usually. Okay, then we have the action, and the action is to what page they're going to send the data to after they make the transfer. So after they send coins from their wallets to your Skywallet, we're going to send them to this action page. And here I've got an absolute path, but you can have a relative path. And we're going to, on this case, we're going to action.php. Now here is the merchant Skywallet. This is your Skywallet. Where do you want them to send their money to? So I want them to send it to sean5.skywallet.cc. I can see I made a mistake here. The good thing is that our Pos Js will check to make sure that this is an actual address, and it won't try to send money if it's not a real one. Okay, so that's going to execute automatically, and so is this var get parameters. This is going to create an array of get parameters that can be sent to the action page when the time comes. So automatically when the script starts, we create a pos object and a get parameters object. All right, here we have some functions, and one of them is the open modal. And I'll take a look at the open modal first. So when we click on this image and open modal, it's going to set the amount that's due. It's going to set the merchant get parameters, and then it's going to call the point of service object to show itself, which means it's going to pop up, and we're going to give it some get parameters, so once they make the payment, it'll know what to send to the action page. So the set amount and the merchant get parameters functions are here above. The set amount is going to create a get parameter called amount, and it's going to set it to the amount due. Now, in this case, we have the amount due being widget.value. So I've got the widgets here, ID, input, and I'm going to set it to the value of this input. Then we have the second function that we're going to call when we open the modal, and that is the set merchant get parameters. And here I've got a get parameter called coupon, and I'm setting it equal to the coupon value. So I've got this input box here called ID coupon, and I'm going to set it to the value of that. Now you can add whatever parameters that you want to for this, or you don't have to add any. This merchant parameter is completely voluntary, and it's not necessary. It's just if you want to pass a bunch of stuff to your page, this makes it very easy for you to do that. Okay, so that is our POS, how it works on the web page in brief. Okay, so now we're going to look at the actual code, get right into the details. And if you go to GitHub /CloudCoin Consortium, you'll find all of our code. And here's the ready to go. That's something that we'll be using. And here is the Pos Js. That's what we're talking about right now. You can also see all of our programmers. So the Pos Js is created by Alexander Mirich, and he and myself are always available to answer any questions that you want. He lives in Russia, I live in America, we're on the opposite sides of the planet, so we should be able to give you 100% coverage all the time, because we never take weekends off, we're always working. So you can see that we have the README file. This is going to describe how you can use the Pos Js, and we've got the distribution file. This actually has the latest POSJS.min.js. So this is the minimized version if you want to just grab that and put it on your website. And then we've got the actual source code if you want to make any kind of changes, or if you want to know exactly how it works. And then we have a sample of how you can have an index page and an action page, the image that makes the button, the hover button, and a README file of how things work. So let's just take a look at the point of sale README file, and let me see if I can make this bigger. Okay. So here we show an example of a very simple HTML page, and it has a script that adds the Pos Js onto your page. All right, let's take a deep dive into the second component, and that's the action page. And look at the sample folder, you'll find an action.php page that hopefully will help you write your own action page. The reason we call it the action page is because in a HTML web form, you've got a method, which is get, and you have the action, which is where you're pointing your data to. So here I have a sample action page, and one of the things it has here is a demonstration of how to use this. It's got localhost, which is on my computer, in a Pos subfolder, action.php. So yours will be in a different place, so you'd have to change that. But this is the kind of first thing we want to do, is once you've got your action page, you want to test it. And we've got all these get variables, so I'm just going to stick that in the browser. And when I run it, it's going to do what this page does, and it just echoes all of the different get parameters that I fed it. The amount is going to be a parameter that is required. That's going to be part of the pos.js. This coupon here, this is a merchant added parameter, and that of course will not be there probably on your page. You can put any kind of parameters you want. The Geo Id is a receipt ID, and that is going to be there. And these other ones are also going to be there. You're going to have the serial number of your merchant coin, which you probably don't care about. You've got your merchant Skywallet address, where you're going to be receiving the coins, and you also have the sender's Skywallet address, where they're coming from. If we take a look at this code here on our action page, we can see that first of all, it loops through all of the get variables, and that's what we're seeing here, so it can show us what we're getting. Then it's going to go ahead and get those get variables and assign them to some kind of value. Then you would want to validate the inputs. We have a couple functions here which allow you to do that. One of the functions, so one of these functions is called validate Skywallet. This will tell you if your Skywallet that you receive from them is good. And this one is called isValid hex string. This one's used to validate the Geo Id that you've been sent. All right, once you've got all of your get variables, one of the things that you're going to want to do is to check your receipt ID to make sure that you haven't processed it before. And so you want to, at minimum, whenever you get an order, just save it in the file or save it in a folder or save it in a database so that you know that it's there. And when you receive a new order, you want to check to make sure that Geo ID isn't already there and somebody's trying to send you the same receipt number for different money or different payment. Once you've done that, and by the way, I can show select count from orders where order ID equals receipt ID or receipt Geo ID. Just check that you haven't received this Geo ID before. Then you'll parse all of the merchant data, and you might want to go out and check your database and count all of the products that you've got and the prices that they cost, and try to figure out how much money that they're supposed to pay you, not according to what they're saying, but according to what you believe. Next, we'll look at the command, and the command is going to differ based on whether you're on a Linux system or whether you're on a Windows system. I'm on a Windows system, so I'm going to start by specifying the location of the rada_go.exe program. Then I'm going to tell it which command I want to issue. There's lots of different commands. Here I want to issue the view receipt command. A receipt on a Skywallet is a piece of information that is available for anybody to see who has receipt number and who has the Skywallet that has received it. And so this means that not only can you see the receipt, but so can the sender of the money. And that way, you know that you got the money, they know that you got the money, and you know that they know that you got the money, and vice versa. And we can also give that receipt number to a third party and your wallet to a third party. So anybody that you give that information to, they can also verify that that money was sent and received. So here we've got the view receipt command, and then we have the actual receipt number, and then we have your wallet that the money should go into. We just echo the command here for your understanding. Okay, now we're going to execute that command, and we're using the Php Execute method or function, and it requires 3 parameters. The first one is the actual command. The second one is, it's called the output. It's going to put the output into, it's an array into that output. And the third thing is a return value, and this is a code. It's like a number code, and it allows us to have different errors numbers, so we can parse those if we want to. It's going to return JSON. So that's why we're putting into a variable called JSON object. The return should be something like this: curly bracket, quote, amount verified, end quote. It's going to be a lot more complicated than this, actually. Okay, so then we want to see if everything's successful, the return value should be 0. If it's not, it's an error, and then we want to handle that error. And there's a large amount of errors. I'll show you those error codes here in a little bit. Otherwise, we want to create an array of values by using the JSON decode method. And so this is where we're going to decode the returned stuff that comes from the executable, and we're going to then look into that array and be able to find the amount verified array member, and that'll tell us how much was verified. Now, the Modal is supposed to make sure that they're sending exactly the amount that's due, but there's a chance that they could send nothing, or that they could send more than the amount that is due, or less than the amount that is due. And we can handle that by either just returning all of their money to them, or we're giving them change, or just giving them an error saying, sorry, you didn't pay. But here we're just going to assume that they paid the total amount due, which was what the modal should ensure. And if they do pay the amount, then you're going to echo thank you, your order is being processed, or you might want to send them the goods that they're due, and or credit their account if it's an exchange. And so it's pretty much that simple, and insert into the orders to make sure that you know that that order worked and the GUI they used was good. Now we're going to take a deep dive into the last component, and that is the Rada_Go program. And this is something that we'll take a look at the source code here in a little bit, but to get the compiled version, you can go to our cloudcoin.global assets /Rada_Go.zip. And this is going to download that zip file. And once you have that zip file, you can unzip it, and you'll find that there's 2 programs in there, Rada_Go.exe and the Rada_Go program. One is for Linux, the other one is for Windows. So I'm going to take this Rada_Go.exe, I'm going to put it into somewhere that's easy for my web server to call. And if I'm going to send coins, which we're going to do later, or transfer coins from my Skywall, I want to put my ID coin right next to that executable. Alright, so once we've got that there, then we can call up a command prompt and test it out. So we want to test it on the command prompt before you test it in your environment, just to make sure that it's working right. So I've got my command prompt here, and I'm going to go to where my folder or my Rada_Go program is. So that's on my... Okay, I've navigated to where my folder is, Rada_Go Dns.Record.exe. And now I'm going to issue the command, but one of the things that I need to issue the command is I need a Geo Id. So I'm going to pull out my CloudCoin wallet, and I'm going to send some money to, or from my Skywallet account to a test account, and I'll go ahead and transfer send to another user. I'm going to send 5 CloudCoins to Sean.cloudcoin.global. And here's where the tricky part is. The memo has to be a Geo Id. If we're going to test it, it has to be a Geo Id. And of course, our Modal is going to create a Geo Id for us. I'm going to create one by going to geoidgenerator.com. I'll create one that doesn't have hyphens. So here's a Geo Id. Copy that and put that as my memo. And I'll go ahead and use my return address here. And so I'm sending the money. And it's checking my ID coin, looking at everything. Okay, got an error. So the client was trying to send us some money, but there was an error right in the middle of it. We're not certain if the money was sent or not. But there's an easy way that we can tell, and that's with the Rada_Go program. And what we'll do is we'll open up our command prompt again, and we're going to type in the Rada_Go command. So Rada_Go.exe, and then we're going to issue the view receipt command, and then we're going to put that Geo Id in there that we had from the website. And then we're going to put the address that it was going to, and just hit enter. Okay, we get back some JSON, and it says the amount verified was 5, the status was success, and the message is CloudCoins verified. So in fact, the CloudCoins were sent even though there was an error and we're not sure. All right, so this is the way you want to test your Rada_Go.exe, or if it's Linux, just test it by going to the command prompt, send yourself some money using the CloudCoin wallet, and make sure, of course, you use the same Geo Id when you are sending and when you are testing. But what if we don't have success? What if we hit this and we get something else? Well, we do have this debug mode. So if I go over here in front of my command and type in debug and issue the command again, it'll go through and it'll show exactly what it's doing. And then if you send that code to me or Alexander Mirich, we can help you figure out what the problem is. Let's see here. And so I could cause a problem by, I'm going to get rid of the debug, but let's cause some problems. We'll start with having a Geo Id that's ill-formed. So I'll go ahead and execute that. And here I got a status fail, code 25, message UUID invalid or not defined. Okay, let's fix that Geo Id again. And let's screw with the command. Okay, we've got it, code 1, invalid command. Let's go ahead and change the address so it's something that doesn't work. Invalid owner, fail. So we've got a list of these commands, and we'll take a look at these error codes right now. Now let's take a look at the Rada_Go code itself. I'm going to go ahead and open up the CloudCoin Consortium's GitHub page again and go to the Rada_Go program. And so here we have a README file that explains it. We've also got the source code, and this is written in Go, obviously. So we'll take a look at this, and if you're using Linux, make sure you mark this ready to go as executable, or it won't work. You can download the ready to go right from this link, cloudcoin.globalassets-ready-to-go.zip, and this shows you how to use it on Linux. There's the debug function, which I showed you there. I didn't show you the help, but there is a help function, and we can see error codes. And so there's lots of different codes. One is incorrect usage, and then we go down the line, and this is, I don't know that you really want to get into all of these errors, but if it fails, it fails. And if you want to know why, these numbers can help you to figure that out. Here's the transfer, and we'll be talking about that in the next videos. As far as the source code, you won't really need that because you can just download the zip file and have the source that's already been compiled, but if for some reason you wanted to come in here and look at that, you're more than welcome to do that. Again, this is created by Alexander Mirich, and we are both available for you at any time. So if you have any problems, please contact us. All right, thank you very much.